right? My cholesterol was it was high, but not super high. It was like 220 something, you know. My blood pressure was like 190 over 90, something like that. So that was high. But mostly I just wanted to be able to walk again, right? And I was just like, I don't care about everything else. I just want to be able to walk again. And so I just got so fed up, and I just said, you know what, enough is enough. I deserve a better life than this. Because I could see into the future, very soon into the future, I was going to be bedbound, right? And someone was going to have to come in and take care of me. And that was not a life I was willing to have. I'm like, I own a business. I run my own business. You know, how can I can't do that stuck in a bed on disability, right? So I just made the decision to go see my doctor and say, what can I do? And of course she said, well, bariatric surgery. And at that point, she had tried several times in previous years to talk to me about it. And I was like, nope, not going to do it. If my organs work right, I'm not taking them out, you know. But at that point, I was so desperate, and I could see the future was very, very bleak. And so I said, okay. And that's a really long, drawn-out process. You have to do all these tests and stuff. And so that was in April, and then I had the surgery in October. Before that, I would just basically eat a bunch of junk food, right? In my refrigerator was like deli meats, you know, yogurts, you know, the little Yoplait full sugar yogurts, you know, crackers, cheese. That kind of never made meals because I never learned how to cook. So
sounds like food that was in everybody's refrigerator.
Yeah, and so it was really, I just had highly processed snacks in my refrigerator.
And that's the only option she gave you? I mean, that's the only
That's
option?
the only option she gave
That's
me.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's the only one. Not, hey, let's try a diet first. Let's start.
Well, you know, and to be fair to her, I told her, I'm like, look, I've tried Weight Watchers, I've tried Jenny Craig, I've tried paleo, I've tried all these. I could do them for a couple of weeks, and then I would just give up. Right? Because something would happen, usually some emotional trauma, and of course I'd go straight for the pizza, ice cream, and cookies and that sort of thing. So in October of 2015, I had bariatric surgery. Before the surgery, I could eat anything I wanted, and I did, right? After the surgery, suddenly I could not consume any animal products. Not that they give you whey protein drinks you have to, 10 days before surgery, you can't eat, you could only have protein drinks. And so I drank these whey protein drinks for 10 days straight, and then I had the surgery, and then that very next day, they made me vomit, right? And they were whey protein. Everything, they kept trying they had me buying all these different protein powders because for the next 6 weeks, you still can't have any food, right? You're just liquids only. And so they give you these protein drinks. And I spent hundreds of dollars on all these because you have to buy a big container of it.
Well, stuff's expensive.
It's expensive and it's highly processed, you know. And every single one of them made me sick, so I just didn't eat, right? And then all of a sudden, water made me sick. I would spit up water like a little baby spit up. I had no warning, just bleh, there it came, right? And then eventually you get to the point where you can have pureed foods, and the doctor's like, oh, when first time you puree chicken, it's the most amazing thing you have ever tasted, and it looks really gross, right? But I was like, okay, I'm gonna try it, because I seriously had not eaten in almost 2 months, right?
Wow.
And so, of course, you're losing weight. I was losing like 20 pounds every 10 days, you know?
Wow.
And so, I tried this pureed chicken, and it did, because, you know, I hadn't eaten it. It tasted really good.
Starving.
But yeah, nope, puked it right up within minutes, you know. And so I kept telling the dietitians, I can't eat any meat, right? Because they promote a high protein, low carb diet. And they're like, just keep trying. Hey, I can't drink water. Just keep trying, right? They didn't offer me any other options at all, right? And so finally, after 6 months after surgery, you can now start eating vegetables. So 6 months, they tell you not to eat vegetables, right? So I'm like, hallelujah, I can eat vegetables, you know? And so then I just started reintroducing foods. And anytime I went to anything animal-based, it made me sick. Now, the longer I went to healing, it made me less sick and less sick. But by that time, it gave me a stomach ache because I wasn't used to eating meat. I wasn't used to eating dairy, you know? And then when I did eat it, I didn't like it. you know? So people say, oh, you lost all that weight because you had bariatric surgery. And I was like, I lost all that weight because I couldn't eat, right? And then when I did eat, I started eating fruits, vegetables, grains, you know, nuts and seeds and that sort of thing. It did take me a little while to give up eggs, right? For some reason, egg whites I could eat, but not egg yolks. It's strange, right? It's just strange.
I wonder if it was the
things.
fat content.
Probably, yeah, because even today I still have, I can tell when I eat something and it's got fat in it, like a salad dressing or something. I'm like, whoop, because I can feel it in my mouth and it will give me a stomach ache. So that started my plant-based journey from having bariatric surgery, but I still didn't know how to cook. And so I'm like, great, now what am I going to do? Because there's only so many carrots and hummus you want to eat, you know, day after day after day. And so that's actually when our mutual friend, Nancy and I's mutual friend Amy, said, you know what, you need to talk to my friend Nancy. She's going to teach you so much. And that's when I was introduced to plant-based Chico. And that was, what, I think just September of last year?
About the end of last year, yeah.
Yeah, and that's when I actually started really learning about a plant-based diet instead of just sort of winging it. And I certainly was not eating a balanced diet before, because I wouldn't touch grains for anything, because you know the high protein, low carb people are like, no, don't eat grains, you'll gain weight, you know. So I actually started learning a lot of information from Nancy and from this group and stuff. And then Nancy introduced me to the Forks Over Knives. I had never even seen the movie, so I watched it. And then she introduced me to, she's like, hey, you know they have a cooking class, right? I'm like, really? And it's online. I'm like, score, I'm going to do it. And that was just, what, like, I think I did it in November.
I was going to say around Christmas time, wasn't it?
Yeah, I
November?
think I finished right around Christmas time.
You
It's a
finished it
90-day
right before
program.
they did their year-end big sale.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
of course.
I paid the full price.
You
for
did.
it.
It's like an online course, or you go somewhere.
No, it's
on.
online.
It's an online course,
Oh, yeah.
but
Yeah, you
it is more work than I thought it was going to be. You know, I thought, oh, I'm just gonna futz around. No, you need to do.
You have assignments.
You have assignments. You have to cook what they want you to cook. Follow the recipe. You have to send in pictures and with your little nameplate and all that stuff. And but it was really I learned how to cook, you know, online, and now I make. I don't know, really yummy food.
Oh yeah, gourmet.
But one of my favorite things that we learned, I told Nancy, the price of the program is worth it just for the knife skills portion of the program. And so we had posted the anatomy of a knife on the
Yeah,
picture
and
there.
I'm sorry, I didn't bring the handouts, but I will upload just a
But let's
document.
just, everybody grab your knife, right, that you brought. If you didn't, check out your friends.
Nick, will you
So-
hand out knives to people that didn't bring one
Oh, great.
of ours?
All my students are armed.
Okay, and everybody please be nice.
So this is a chef's knife, usually 8 to 10 inches. There's also, what do they call it? A Senduko knife, which is the one with the little gills on there, so food doesn't get trapped on there. It's really just a measure of preference. Which do you prefer? But there's certain areas of the knife we want to look at. The top, of course, is the spine, right? And then we have the handle. There's knives with a heel, and then there's knives without a heel. So this knife does not have a heel. Do you see the difference? Right here, the heel would be, this is a nice thick base right there. Knives without a heel tend to be more of an Asian style knife, right? They actually have a different, they use a different, what is it?
That's supposed
Nick?
to soak for
The,
30 minutes. That's supposed to soak for 30 minutes.
I think it's been 30 minutes.
Has it been 30? Okay.
Yeah. You
Okay.
can just put it out. Here's the little stand for it. It goes right in there. So this is the blade has a different edge on it. I'm sorry? The what?
Bevel?
No, not the bevel. It's the, what is that? The angle. The edge has a 15-degree angle, whereas these have a 20-degree angle. So this is going to give you a little bit of a cleaner slice. This is why the Japanese really like these ones. This is the sweet spot of the knife. Where you're supposed to cut with the knife is actually towards the back of the knife, right back here. Most of us, I used to always cut right here, right? This is actually for chopping, is this section. This section, the sweet spot, is for slicing, right? And then we have the tip, right? But the most important thing when we're looking for a knife is the tang. And the tang is, you're gonna look at your knife and your spine should go straight down into the handle where this is all one piece of steel, right? I brought this knife, this is my Pampered Chef knife. You can't see the tang coming through. So we don't know, is this one piece of steel or is this handle just kind of soldered on here somehow? This would be one of the characteristics of a knife that was probably not as well made as one with one solid piece of steel with a wooden handle riveted onto it.
So
Yes.
is there a difference, Kathy, in the performance of one of that knife versus the Pampered Chef that's all one piece of steel?
It's just that this knife is going to be stronger and probably last longer. This one, you don't know what kind of circumstance the handle might pop off for some reason or other. Because it might be one piece of steel that this is the end, and then it's all one piece of steel and they wrapped the handle around it, but we don't know, so we can't see it, so we don't know.
X-rays.
X-rays, right, exactly, we need some X-rays. But then after that, once we've got a nice, good quality steel knife, the rest of it's all about the feel. The feel of your knife should feel like an extension of your hand. And so if your wrist is relatively straight, not too cockeyed, not this way, but relatively straight, it should feel like an extension of your hand. There are different grips that we can use, which are totally appropriate. This grip to grip it, just like this, is actually very appropriate. It's just a lot of people think it's not, but it is. If you want more stability, you're going to use these two fingers and grip the spine and then wrap these fingers around the handle. This is actually going to give you more stability when you're on the cutting board. Your knife is going to wobble less with this grip. But when you're doing the cutting motion, I actually prefer this if I'm going to actually chop, which I'll show you, but then I prefer this grip for slicing, and that's perfectly okay. Okie dokie. Any questions about the anatomy of the knife?
Sure.
You have that little ball on your knife, which is nice to hold on to. Yeah.
To hold on to. It works really good.
So here's a different knife that I brought. This is my Dalstrong knife. This is where I went to the galley, and I was like, I need a decent chef's knife, but I don't want to spend a ton of money. And so he brought out like 12 knives for me to try. And when you go buy a knife, you want to try them. He should bring out a cutting board, and she should bring you a knife, and you're going to put it down, and you're going to do some slicing motions, right? And I really liked this knife. It fits my hand like really, really well. But when I go to actually cut vegetables, because he doesn't have vegetables to cut with there, I'm like, oh, how come I can't cut with it, right? I think it's the heel is too,
look at that,
too defined. And when I slice down, it's like thump, 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 right? So I tend to use this other knife is
I wonder if that's why Asian
one I
knives
like it
don't have the
better. It's not, the heel is not so broad, it doesn't stick out at the bottom, so when I slice, no big thump, right?
We have a knife at home it's so old and it's been sharpened so many times that you set it on the cutting board like this, there's a hollow spot when it really touches, because
It's a little warped.
Not this one. Not this one.
Yeah. Yeah, you probably might want to like dispose of that knife, right?
Yeah, maybe.
So let's go over. So what we want to make sure is we have is a nice sharp edge, right, to our knives. And so there's a difference between honing and sharpening. And so we've seen a honing steel, right? So this is a honing steel. There's people have different methods of doing it, but I like to always send it away from me, right? Because it's a little safer. You want to make sure when you're holding your steel that you hold it, make sure your hands are behind the little neck here so that you don't cut yourself. But you want to use like you want to get a stable grip on your knife, so always hold it on the stand. We want to stay in that angle that the blade is, so it would be a 20-degree angle or if like your knife there is a Japanese style knife, it would be a 15-degree angle. So basically this is 90, right? This is 45, and then this is 20.
almost flat.
Almost. Really, it's kind of like the thickness of my thumb is just about 20 degrees, right? And so you're just gonna run the blade on there, and you wanna do each side the equal amount of times. And what the honing actually does, honing is actually, you see that little spark there? You see that? That's so cool. Honing the blade actually is not sharpening it. Honing it is actually straightening the edge. So when we are chopping our vegetables, nobody chops straight up and down 90 degrees. We always chop a little bit at an angle, right? Depending on who you are, if you're right-handed or left-handed, how you're actually chopped, the anatomy of your hand. So as we start chopping, say this is our blade, right? We start to get it starts to peel off a little bit, starts to turn a little bit. The honing actually puts it back into straightens out the edge, right? Whereas sharpening actually removes steel from the blade to create a new edge. So that's the difference. They do have sharpeners that look like honing blades. You have to, when you buy it, it'll say diamond edge, right? That would be then something that's actually going to sharpen.
Will
right?
it sharpen and straighten, or only sharpen and only hone?
Yeah, so when you're sharpening, it's going to hone it automatically, right? Because you're taking steel off. And so you want to hone your blade right before you use it every single time. Get all those little edges all nice and straightened out. Sharpening your blade, you probably only have to do once or twice a year. It appears when you hone it that it is sharper just because you've straightened out the edge, right? So a straight edge cuts better than a kind of cockeyed edge, right? Does that make sense? So this is sold as a sharpener. We've all kind of seen these. It's got the little V in there. It's got the fine and the coarse, right? But these are 90% of the time actually honers, right? Not sharpeners. What you need to, these little plates inside here, right? If it says when you buy it, and if it says on the package it is, one of them will be coarse. If it says a diamond edge, then that would be a sharpener. Nick has one that says diamond edge on it. So this is,
actually says diamond on it. So.
Yeah, so if it says diamond, then we have a sharpener. If it does not say diamond, then you really have a honer, right? And you could use, this has a little V right here. So we would put it on the edge of the table. Wait, which one's which? And then we stick that in there and you just slice it down, just stay out of your way, right?
Oh, so it's actually curved, so you put it on the edge of the table?
You put it on the edge of the table. You don't want to put it here because then you're going to clunk, hit the table, right?
Yeah, no,
so you're
that's
going to put it on the
great.
edge.
That's
Keep
great.
your fingers out of the way.
Never thought of it.
When I'm using these though, why I prefer the honing steel is that if you look at this blade, it has a little nick right in here from putting it in this because of the heel that's in there. When I set it in there, it's created a little nick. This is actually the sweet spot. I want this to be nice and sharp. So I'm like, oh, I'm not going to use this anymore. And I got an actual honing steel. This little puppy is my whetstone. This is what we're going to actually sharpen our knife with. And it has 1,000 grit and 3,000 grit. The white side, you can tell, is the part that is the more coarse grain. We're going to set that down in there. We've been soaking this. You want to soak this for 30 minutes before you try to sharpen something. I'm going to use this knife because I don't like this knife. This knife would probably be, I would think that this knife would be good for Nick because the reason I don't like it is like, look how huge that handle is. It's too big for my hand. And so when I try to grip it like this, my fingers should be down here, right? And when I try to grip it like this, now I'm too far away from the knife. It's not stable, right? So this is the wrong knife for me, you know? So when you're sharpening your knife, you want to make sure you have that degree correct, right? Or else you're going to ruin the blade. So they have these handy dandy things, right? So this is a guide. This is a 20-degree guide. And you stick this onto your blade and you get it all the way up to the top there and it slides right on there. So when I place this on here, this is at a 20-degree angle. I tried to do the little thing where I put my thumb under there like I did with the honing blade, except that this thing is so coarse, it shaves off steel. It will also shave off the skin on your thumb.
I was going to say.
So you don't want to do that. So this is super easy. I was super nervous about doing this the first time I got it. So this has a little rubber pad this sits on, which is really nice. You stick your blade on there. You have your guide here so it can't go too far down and too far low. You want to put a little pressure on here, and you want to start at this end and you want to slide it. And as you slide it, you want to come up on the edge here. And so, can you hear that sound of shh? That's pulling steel off the blade. And so you want to do, let's see, that's 4, 5, and then you want to do the other side. So now we're going this way. And so you would probably do like 10 to 15 on each side, and then you want to switch over to the finer side. So we just flip this over, and you'll be able to hear the difference. So we heard that shoosh shoosh before, right? So now, much softer shoosh, right?
And that's the lower grit, Kathy?
Yes. So this, the louder side, right, the higher grit, is shaving off more than this side. So this is getting it a little bit more fine. Once you've sharpened your knife, you should be able to take a piece of just regular paper, right? And it's like, and switch, right? And then
Like
if it's,
sandpaper.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
if it doesn't slice the paper, go back, start on grit, start on the higher grit, and then go to the softer grit all over again until you get it nice and sharp. And then you always want to wash this knife afterwards, because we have tiny little, if you see the little marks we put on there, those little black marks, that's steel, right? That's steel that came off the blade.
Wow.
That's not for a serrated edge.
This is not for a serrated edge. I would recommend, if you want to sharpen a serrated knife, that you take it to a professional. They do have the little steels. It looks like a steel, and it's tiny, and you go in there and you kind of twist on every single little tooth on both sides.
Wow.
It takes a lot of time. I would just rather pay someone to do it.
Well, also, I don't know if everybody knows that you can take your knives to your grocery store and the butcher will sharpen them. They
Yes,
used to
it
do
is.
it for free, and I think we did ours at Rayleigh's a few years ago, and I think they charged us $10 or $20.
Well, if you bring
was
one or
Thanos saw does them too.
And Thanos on West 8th Avenue does them, but the butcher shop, he's just like, yeah, bring me all your, or not the butcher shop, but the butcher at Rayleigh's says, yeah, we love doing it. Just bring your knives. And
if you just bring one or two knives to
Awesome.
the butcher at Rayleigh's, he doesn't charge you. If you bring a whole block, then he's probably going to charge you. He's a super nice guy.
yeah.
Any questions about sharpening or honing? No? Oh, one other thing with a honing blade, you want to make sure that you, for some reason, I'm not even sure why, I didn't even look it up, but on the Forks Over Knives class, they said make sure your honing blade is magnetic for some reason. It shouldn't be, and it's really, if you feel it, it's really kind of soft, so, but it will, like, if it's magnetic, it's going to hold on to little pieces of steel that comes off the knife if that's what it needs to straighten the edge on it.
Hey, Nick, do you want to rinse off Kathy's cutting board? Because there's probably steel flakes on there. She's
Oh, I
gonna-
didn't do it on the cutting board. I did.
Oh, you did it over there. Okay. She's going to do food.
So, next is cutting techniques, right? This is
I
the
have a
exciting
question
part.
first on keeping the knife sharp instead of throwing it in the sink and letting it sit with water on
Who does that? So, yeah, we want to wash our knives. It's best to just wash your knife as soon as you're done using it. Wash it, dry it, and stick it back into into either its little, sleeve or into the butcher block. Oh yeah, I was going to show you this. I brought my butcher block because you can buy butcher blocks that have honing blades inside them, right? So this is what is this? This is a Cathlon. This is actually my favorite knife. Every time you pull it out, it hones it. Right, so kind of nice, right?
And
it has one in every single slot that's in here. So even for the little paring knife, right? It hones it every time. So it kind of just keeps your blade, nice and ready to use.
And that's how you bought the block.
That's how I bought the
block and
the knives all came together.
Okay,
I think
it was a
it was like $110. It really was. I think it's funny because this knife cost me like $160, right? And I never use it because of that stupid heel, which I didn't realize that I was going to annoy the crud out of me so much, right? And this was $110 for all these knives and the block, and I love this knife.
And you like
So
it.
you don't have to have a super expensive knife. Don't run out and buy a Wusthof $240 chef's knife. It might not be the best knife for you, right? My little, that knife alone probably is like $40. Okay,
That's
so
amazing.
this is a bench scraper, right? Or a pastry knife, right? This is what you want to use to practice your actual cutting skills. So the three important things when it comes to cutting, right, is one, the stabilization of your food, right? Then the stabilization of your knife, and probably the most important, keep your fingers out of the way, right? So we've always seen the chefs on TV and they're like, ta, 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 right? And you're like, they're gonna cut themselves, and they never do. You want to get this, let me grab something here. You want to, we want to use the claw, right? We've seen the claw, right? So these two fingers actually hold on to the food, right? So it's like this. These fingers are actually going to guide your knife. So they claw them, right, and stick them on the food. And all together, we should have a nice, stable food so that it doesn't rock and move. Does that make sense? Let's see, we have something long. Let's grab a carrot. So carrot, we're going to grab it with these two fingers, the outside fingers, the claw, and as your knife moves close to you, you're going to move your fingers like this, and this is called the rolling technique. Can you see that? So these two fingers hold it. These are your claw to stabilize the top. These fingers actually guide your knife, and you roll your fingers back as you are chopping. And when you get to this point, you let go of everything, move your fingers again, and you roll. And it takes some practice to get this down. So that's when this bench knife or bench scraper comes in handy, because this does not have a sharp blade on it. It's not going to cut you at all. And so you're going to take your fingers like it's on a piece of food. You're going to make your claw, and you're going to put this right next to it. And so you can see that your finger actually hits the knife of the blade. And this does two things. One, it stabilizes your knife, and it keeps your fingers out of the way, right? Now, the motion that we cut with, right, I call it the motion of the ocean, right? So we actually want to make little circles like we're doing a choo-choo train going backwards, right? So it's, I think, motion of the ocean, right? So you're like motion of the ocean, and then you do your little claw and the roll, right? And you can practice with this, and I practiced with this thing for like ages. And you actually want to do it so that don't even look, right? Don't even look, because this isn't going to cut you. When I use my knife, I look, right? Because I'm scared, right? But motion of the ocean. So when we're using a regular knife, right? Same thing now. Our blade always wants to be, it needs to be, remember one of the rules, stabilize your food, stabilize your blade, right? So it doesn't really you don't want it to leave the cutting board. So your motion of the ocean. Do y'all want to try that with our blades? Right, so put the tip down, hold your blade how you prefer, and motion of the ocean just around. So it's like a backwards choo-choo train, and it takes time to get used to that motion, because we're used to like chop, chop, chop. That's not appropriate. We want motion of the ocean. Did we get that, or do we
How do you
practice?
progress to the next slice if you're always got the blade on the cutting board?
Oh, so you should slightly, you should move a little bit
So
with it.
kind of have to rock a little bit in order to move.
Right, that's why we have to hone it all the time, right? Sometimes it's a bad habit of keeping the knife in one spot and moving your food. You don't want to do that. We move the knife, we don't move our fingers.
Yeah.
Okay?
So
Now,
what about if like Nick's knife, the one that he's using, is a smaller blade? Would it still be the same rule?
well, that right there is a utility knife. It's not the best knife to be using when chopping like vegetables. That's not a chopper or a slicer. That's like to get a core out of a tomato,
yeah, that's true.
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
What about the knives that have straight edge?
Well, it's still the same motion. If we could do motion of the ocean with this thing, right, then we should be able to do it with even a straight edge, right? So like you have the Asian knife that's square at the end, at the tip, right? And it's still the same thing.
But I've got it at home on straight edge bottom.
Yeah, it's still the same motion. Okay, so we have this grip. I don't like this knife. Where's this? So we have this grip is appropriate. This grip is appropriate, right? This grip is not appropriate.
No, no. And I'm notorious for doing
I know,
that.
I saw you. So when we start to have the habit of start doing this, right, what this does is we don't have as much stability, and we're using too much pressure on the knife. Let the blade do the work, right? If you start doing this because you need more pressure, that means your blade needs to be sharpened or honed, or the two of them, right?
Yeah, me
Right,
too.
exactly. Now, when we are using a paring knife, right, this tiny little blade, we can put our finger on there, but not on the spine, up on the handle, right? That's the only appropriate way that we should put our finger up here, because it's a much smaller knife. But it needs to be up on the handle, not on the blade.
Wow, okay.
Okie dokie. I know it's a really bad habit that a lot of people do. And if we, let's see.
It's amazing. I've never had a knife skills class. I mean, who's going to teach us how to do
So
this?
if you take your knife and you hold it like this, right, and hold it nice and sturdy, now come and wiggle, like try to with your other hand wiggle the blade, right? It's pretty sturdy. If we hold it like this, it's even more sturdy. It would take more effort to wiggle that blade. Now hold it like this and try to wiggle that blade. Do you see how it's not quite as sturdy? An unsturdy knife means you're chopping a finger off, right? We don't want that. Okay, any questions on how to hold your knife?
It's amazing.
Yes.
Did they ever talk about making a stable base, like instead of doing a circular cross section, cutting it in half?
Yes,
so you
we're
have
going to do
one
that
side?
next.
Okay.
You read my mind, right? So now we're going to start cutting some vegetables. I'm going to go wash my hands. Oh, sorry, Tanya.
Okay, so you're demonstrating your grip.
Yes.
Can you rotate so I see where your thumb is?
Oh, yeah. You pinch it with your thumb and your forefinger, pinch the blade, wrap your fingers around the handle. Yeah. Sometimes when you start holding your knife like this, except for you because you have a nice ball, you start to get a little callus right here. Or it starts to be, if you're chopping a bunch of vegetables, it starts to get a little sore right there, but that's okay. Right? Okay, I'm going to wash my hands really quick before we start actually handling food. I'm going to wash this carrot too because I will grab it.
And Kathy, do you want the bowl to put the veggies in so when we get ready to do the
Yeah, we're just going to slide that towel like all the way down over here, I think. And then I have a couple mixing bowls there.
I can do that for you.
She just needs a few of the,
She said to take it off.
she don't need those big old things.
Yeah, I'll take those off. Maybe I'll leave it off the side so we don't want to block the view. I said we don't want to block the view. There we go. This corn looks funky, but oh well.
All right.
I said that frozen corn looks a little funky. This is in the freezer.
I need a paper towel. Actually, here's a little trick for you too, since this table is a little slippery. Take a couple paper towels and stick it underneath your cutting board, and this will help stabilize your cutting board. Because before it was sliding, right?
What a great
A
tip.
couple paper towels underneath there, and now we don't slide nearly as much. If you need it to be even more stable, we can wet the paper towels, and they'll make it even more stable.
Wow.
Okay, so we have a nice long carrot here, right? We have our knife. We're actually going to chop it into appropriate size, into lengths that are easier for us to manage. So we don't want this really long carrot. We want maybe like 2 or 3 inches. And now we're going to stabilize our carrot, right? And make sure your fingers out of the way. If it's super hard, the best thing to do is to put your hand on top and then chop it down, right? Nice sharp blade because I sharpened it last night. Then we take the end off. Whoops. If it's gonna tip like that one started to do, just make sure your fingers are out of the way till it gets started and then chop it off. We'll put that in there. Then we're going to take, when we have something round, we don't want it rolling around on us, right? So we're going to cut it in half, like that. Make sure your fingers are out of the way. And now we have a nice flat surface. And what we want to do is we want to do a dice. We're going to make a succotash, so we want it about everybody to be about the same size so that it all cooks in about the same amount of time. So we're going to use the corn, about corn size, because that is the smallest that we have. So we're going to take it and we're going to cut it into half again, right? And then we're going to cut those in half. So now we have these large matchsticks, and then you're going to find, again, you want the flat side, cut that in half. So it's just looking at your food and breaking it down until we get these even matchstick size pieces, right? And then you don't want too many all at once. We're going to put these 4 little pieces all together. We're going to do our claw. We're going to hold these 2 fingers. We're going to make our little grip. So we're stabilizing our food, we're stabilizing our blade, right? We're getting our fingers out of the way, and we motion of the ocean.
I'm gonna have that in my head now all night. Motion of
Motion
the ocean.
of the ocean.
Motion of the ocean.
And this
Every
is
time
what
I
we
cut
would call a dice.
Perfect.
So these are little diced carrots. And so we're just gonna put them in our bowl. The little bench knife is really nice for just scooping things up. Put it in the bowl. Oh, that's the wrong bowl. Okay, we'll use this one as our trash bowl. And then we do the next section. So these little pieces, right? Stabilize the food, stabilize the knife, motion of the ocean. Just make sure your fingers are out of the way. You can use your knife for that too. Okay, so do we all want to try ourselves? We brought some stuff to cut. I have plenty of vegetables here for us to cut up.
You need something.
Anybody need something to chop?
Why don't you give me one of those for Howard? But what we'll probably do after you get it all cut up is we're going to use it for the succotash. Just an FYI. Need that? Why don't you take the ends off of a couple of carrots and
What?
Yes?
You're welcome. Looks like you didn't have a lot of treatment here or something. No, but we can sure put it in, put the rice and succotash and the ingredients, we can dice that, that'd be great.
So we should dice that up?
Sure, I'm gonna give you a carrot though first. How's that sound? Does that sound okay? Put everybody will want it. You're welcome. And just let me know, cut off the tips and I'll come around with the garbage bowl.
Anybody else need anything?
Sam, you got something? We got,
How about
we
you,
have a
Dan?
cutting board and, Becky, you wanna do it? Yeah, well, that's how we're gonna learn.
I want to show you guys the bell pepper technique too.
So Nick, you're not supposed to be doing that. That's Kathy's demo.
I was going to show you guys a fun little bell pepper technique.
I'd like to watch
What?
because I eat a
Doing the show.
I was like, I thought there was 2 bell peppers here.
There is.
And all these veggies are washed. How's everybody doing?
Does it feel weird? anyone? Is it just like that's kind of strange? It feels better? Oh, good. Yeah, and once you get used to it, it's like you can go pretty fast.
In there, both of you in there. Here's in there, then we'll pass it on down. You do that so absolutely beautifully, Kathy. I mean, it's like amazing.
Just like and it never occurred to me to break things down into matchsticks first, like before, and then everything turns out so pretty.
Very nice.
So this is a dice. I'm gonna use this one because
I screwed the other
Nick got ahead of himself. Oh, when you eat a piece that is left over, that's called the chef's piece, right? Okay, let's see if I can wait for everybody to get to a little stopping point. What? Then that was the ghost came and a rabbit came. Now, Tanya, quit cutting things in your hand. You're supposed to cut them on the board. You're peeling it. Oh.
Large carrot, it's not a carrot, but it's in the carrot family. I don't even know if they got it. The Estes produce, I can't remember what it was called.
Parsnip? Parsnip?
No.
Jicama?
Remember. No, it's not jicama.
Oh, jicama's round.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's my little bell pepper tip. So this is how they teach it in the class. I thought it was way cool. So you take your bell pepper and you're gonna lay it down on its side, and you want to cut the top off. So remember, we want to brace our food. Right? We're going to brace our knife, right? You brace your knife either on the cutting board or with your fingers, right, with your hand. And we're going to cut straight down, right? That takes a little effort. And then we're going to turn it around and cut the bottom off too, right? These are chef's pieces if you want. Then you're going to stand it up, and you see how we see the little ribs in there. We're going to pick a spot in between two ribs, and we're going to slice with the tip straight down, right? Then keep your tip in there, and then we're going to cut the ribs out from the inside.
Look at that.
Right? Come out of the way.
I always spend so much time. I do like what Nick did, and then I have to cut out the white spot and the
Yeah.
white.
And when you get to the last rib, just flip it around because you don't want it too close to your fingers. All right? And now we've taken the whole center out with the ribs and everything. Oops, wrong bowl.
Wow.
I missed a little piece right here. And then there's like hardly any seeds left. You just shake them off.
Fabulous.
Right now, we want to take this long ribbon and cut it into manageable pieces, right? So we're going to do 3. And now we have some things appropriate to do our matchsticks, right? So this would, if we just did our matchsticks, remember we're cutting with remember you want to cut with the sweet spot, right? So we're cutting with the back end of the blade.
Motion of the ocean.
Ocean of the ocean. This matchsticks is called a julienne. So we've heard that term before, a julienne. This is a julienne cut. And then we take it from a julienne into a dice. Got too many here.
Oh yeah. I mean, we have our
Isn't that
knife
kinda cool?
inventory is such a hodgepodge.
Yeah.
So we need to get some good knives.
Does anyone have any questions there? No? Okay.
Yeah, why don't you put it in?
Do we, you just stick everything in this bowl there. Do we want to do an onion?
Yeah.
See how we dice an onion is a little bit different.
I'll go around with your bowl and get all of the cuttings.
We're gonna take the cucumbers out. I don't think the cucumbers won't work well.
Oh.
Let's keep yours separate.
You want to start
So-
from scratch or you
Oh
want?
yeah, I want to start from scratch. Thank you. I was like, Nick was doing my job
Sorry.
again. He's too helpful. Okay.
Prep it, man.
For years, right? You know how you want to peel the onion, right? For years, I was cutting the wrong end of the onion off first, right? I was cutting this end off. You want to cut the hairy end off, because if you cut this end off, this is still, like, the peel doesn't want to come off, but if you cut the hairy end off, the peel comes off super easy. So remember, now I've got all this stuff here. I'm gonna put these in there. So stabilize your food with your little claw, right? When we're cutting something this large, we're going to use our more stabilized grip, right? And we're gonna cut the end off, push it down to the cutting board and chop it right off. And now we're gonna chop it in half, right? Again, get your fingers out of the way. Oh, skin. And then we should be able to peel the skin off really quite easily. Okay. Oh, thanks. And then this one. I want to eat this one. Okay, so now that we have this onion cut in half, we actually want to dice it, right? So we're going to take our stabilizing grip and we want to cut inside. We want to do 2 slices in here. But remember, we want to stabilize it, make sure your fingers are out of the way. But I tend to like hold things too low, so just put your hand flat on there. And then you're using your fingers on this hand on your knife to keep a level grip. Do you see like a level? Keep this level. And we're going to slice in here. Just wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And we don't want to go all the way. We just want to go about 3/4 of the way. And then we're going to do another one up here. This is why we want to make sure to keep our fingers out of the way. Now we got that done. Now we want to kind of follow the ribs of the onion because they're pretty equal distance. And we're going to hold on to our food like this, put between our 2 fingers here, and we're going to, with more stabilized grip, slice all the way down, not all the way to the end, to about, again, 3/4. And now we've got it to a point that when we actually slice it, we're going to already have little dice. So we're going to hold our claw, right? And then we have perfect little dices right there. And then we don't want to go all the way to the end because we didn't cut that far, right? And so now we have a nicely diced onion.
Perfect.
Cool?
Isn't that cool?
Now we put it in a bowl here. Corn. Corn is another one that's a little different. So we'll grab an ear of corn. These are nicely cut already. If we had like a whole ear of corn, you want to make sure both sides are flat. So you would cut the tip off and you would cut the top off, right? So it's nice and flat. And we're going to hold it up here. We're going to hold it with a flat hand, right? Nice stabilized grip. And we bring it to the top and we just slice downwards. Make sure to keep all those fingers out of the way and then turn. So what are the 3 like kind of rules for cutting and slicing and chopping? Anyone?
Stabilize the vegetable, stabilize the knife, and keep your fingers out of the way.
Exactly. Good job.
Good teacher.
Okay.
Perfect.
And then we'll do one more. Oh, garlic is kind of fun to do. A lot of us, Nick and I both like to buy it minced already in a jar, right? Because it's just so easy to grab the little spoon out. But there's kind of a fun way to do it, where you don't even have to peel it first. I'll show you. There's some silks in there, but it's just extra fiber.
That's right.
Okay, so we have our little garlic. It's not peeled. We're gonna cut the little end off that is, what part is this? This is towards the root end. We're gonna cut the root end off, right? And get rid of that. And then we're going to place it on our board so that it's nice and sturdy. Put our knife on top of it. Well, this is a little wet, so because our corn is juicy. Our knife on top of it and just smash it.
It's
right? And then the peel comes right off. This is, you can get your violence out. Nick upset me, I'm gonna go home and chop some garlic, and now we can just use our same technique and slice it really quick.
I've heard that too.
There we go.
I'm gonna ask Kathy.
Yes.
Kelly was saying that she's heard, and I believe I've heard too, that when you smash it like that, it will release an enzyme or a certain nutrient. Have you heard that? Did they
Oh,
talk
no,
about that in the cooking program?
No, all they talked about is that the more you slice the garlic, the more pungent it's going to be. So if you want to cook with garlic but not have it super pungent, just peel it and put it whole like in your soup and then pull it out later. The more you slice it or smash it, the more pungent the taste is going to be.
More
That's all they
surface.
really said.
What about using the press? I like to use the press.
Yeah, you can use the press. That's cool too.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like doing a press too.
For me, it's like, oh man, another thing to wash. Okay, any questions? Oh, mushrooms?
Mushrooms.
Mushrooms, you want to, actually I just use my fingers, you want to pull the stem out. They tend to be a little woody, right? Once we do that, then you want to put it, not face down. The top is actually really hard to cut because of that really smoothness there, same as a tomato. It's so smooth, it's really hard to cut, so you want to actually cut it this way. So if you're going to slice it, right, it cuts much easier. And then once you get to the end where you can't hold on to it, just flip it down. And then you can dice it this way. Just turn them that way. Just be sure to keep your finger that way. Herbs, you've seen the chefs do the what thing. That's really good for herbs. So basically the same premise is brace your knife, get your herbs under there, and then you just keep your hand way far away, and then up, down, and then just rotate, and then scoop them together, and then same thing, right? It's all the same motion of the ocean. Okay, any other questions?
Awesome.
How are we all feeling? Is that helpful? Did you know that already?
No, it's fantastic.
No? Okay, let's heat some. A tomato? Tomatoes are interesting. You want to use more of your paring knife to get the core out, right? We're going to hold on to it nicely. And we're going to get around here. Tomatoes will really dull your chef's knife kind of fast. I was taking my chef's knife into Rayleigh's to get sharpened all the time, and he was like, oh, what are you cutting that these knives are so dull? And I was like, tomatoes. And he's like, no, use a serrated knife, right? But it's the same thing. It's round, so we want to cut it in half first so we have a flat surface, so hold on to it, slice it. Now we have a flat surface, we turn it over, and we can julienne them, right, or dice them. And you can see as you get here, it's getting a little smushy because of that, it's so soft, right? A serrated knife, we would then use a back and forth motion to serrate it, and we wouldn't have to press so hard.
So you want to use a serrated knife for tomatoes?
For things that are super soft, yeah, that are going to collapse like a tomato does. But then same thing, now we're just going to dice it.
A serrated bread knife actually works really good on a tomato.
Yeah, a tomato knife is almost looks like a utility knife, like this one, but it's serrated edge, right? So it's not super big, so it's got the serrated edge. And a bread knife, like you have a serrated edge. Oh yeah, just like this. This would be like a tomato knife. And then also a bread knife is similar, but it's like really long, and that's like really hard to use for tomatoes because tomatoes are so
Can
small.
you do one with that knife, with another tomato with that serrated knife?
Yeah.
Show us how? We could just throw that into the succotash.
Yeah.
Let's cook it right in there.
Hold on. So serrated knife, we'll just use this other half. You would just back and forth really gently. Stick over there.
No, it's not getting the juices out.
Yeah, so it's the blade is you want the blade to do all the work. You don't need to press on it. You just let the blade do the work. And then again, but again, like when we're doing this now, you've got to really hold on to it tight. There we go. And then I didn't get all the way in there. Like that. Cool. If we're gonna cut something big, like a watermelon, right, or a cantaloupe, something large like that, then you're gonna brace it with your hand the best you can, and use the center of the blade, and just start it out, and then use your other hand to push it down. Anything else that what else can we need to chop up for you? Any other vegetables? Oh, pineapple. So pineapple, yeah, it would be the same thing. So you want to put it on its side. We're going to chop the top off first, right? Brace it, chop it straight down, right? Because a pineapple has that big core in it, you kind of want to, just like the corn, hold on to it, and then we're going to slice that skin all the way off, right? Then you would cut it in half and then make your little matchsticks and then dice it.
Should have brought in a papaya.
Oh, papaya.
That's a pain.
Yeah.
You're trying to torture me now.
So are butternut squashes and acorn squashes. There's
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, zucchini or spaghetti squashes. Those are always. That's like it's like you need a chainsaw.
Okay, should we heat our pan?
So now what Kathy's gonna do is she'll do her demonstration and talk to you about the pan, and this is gonna heat up really fast.
Okay.
So, but it makes a little bit of noise. So why don't you talk first, and then I've already got it set here when you're done and ready for it to start. And if you guys want to get up and walk around, because there's something in here that Kathy wants you to see. It's called mercury balls.
It looks, yeah, it's like a little
Looks like mercury balls.
Do I have a little spoon?
Yeah, we do. Well, we have a big spoon. Plastic spoon.
Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah, we're gonna put that in the middle of there.
Okay. So, when we have a stainless steel pan, right, which is like that's what all the chefs want to use, right, is stainless steel. So when we have a stainless steel pan, stainless steel, the chefs like it because it is actually non-stick when you heat it properly without using oil, right? We're all about no oil. So the best way for us to,
It's okay. You're fine.
so it's instead of using a pan that has a coating in it that might come off later, we don't want that to happen. A nice stainless steel pan is going to probably be our best bet for us. When we turn it on, because it's going to heat really fast, Nancy says, you're going to start hearing it go tink, 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 right? That's the metal expanding and contracting. I'm not sure which the tink is, the expand or the contract, probably the contract. But you hear it starting to go tink, tink, tink. If we put our food in before it's fully heated and fully expanded, it actually contracts onto our food. And that's when food sticks and burns, right? So if we wait till our pan is fully heated, then our food won't, it's fully expanded, our food won't stick to it, right? And then when it cools off, to clean the pan, as it starts to cool off, it kind of like pushes all that food that might be left in there and pops it all out. So cleaning a stainless steel pan when you have heated it properly is super easy. It's just like swoosh, clean, When you see some people's stainless steel pans that have all these like burnt marks in them, and they're like, I've scrubbed it and scrubbed it and scrubbed it, and I swear it's clean, right? That's from the oil. The oil actually stains the metal. So I'm a vegan, non-oil eating cook because my pan is beautiful, right? So we want this to heat. It needs to actually get pretty hot. When you have stainless steel, you don't want to heat it on high, you want to heat it on medium high. Unless all you're doing is boiling water, then you can go ahead and put it on high. I'm not sure exactly why, but they stressed it when I bought this cookware. It had it all over, do not heat on high, And in the class, they also said, do not heat stainless steel on high, medium high. So if it's like 1 to 10 on your little dial, 7, So we're just waiting for this to heat. It's starting to get a little bit warm.
Should
It
go
needs
pretty
to get-
quick. That's an induction burner, so it should go pretty
But
quick.
it's not, I don't mean it's hardly warm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that the
This is a conduction burner, so anything you can put a magnet on will work with it for a conduction burner. This has an aluminum liner inside, and then it's stainless steel on both sides of it. So what we want to do is we want to heat the pan. You want to take just a little cup of water and a little spoon, and you just want a tiny little bit of water.
Nick, I'm gonna
Right,
hand
just
this
a
to
little
you
drop of water and we
so
drop
that you
it
can
in
put it
there.
over there and
And
let
when
it
it
see.
sizzles and evaporates,
Put it
right,
so that
like
we
that
can see with the
happens,
pan.
that means it's not hot enough, right? So a lot of people think, oh, then that's hot, right? So we just keep doing it. It's still evaporating. It is heating up pretty fast. And we want to wait till this point where you're going to see it, that it actually, when I splash the water in, it's going to scatter little balls, and then they're going to come back together, and it's going to be in one ball. It's not going to evaporate, and it's actually going to bounce around the pan, and they call it the mercury ball. And when that happens, that's when you know your pan is hot enough. We're getting close. See some of the little balls? So we're getting really close there.
Copper bottom?
No, it's not a copper bottom.
Does it matter if it's copper bottom?
As long as the inside is stainless steel, that's what you want.
Can you do that one more time?
Yeah. Not quite ready yet. Close. Super close.
So it'll actually stop evaporating
Yep.
when it goes to the mercury ball level?
Yep. Isn't that crazy? Here it is. This one's bouncing around a little bit. So mostly this side of the pan is pretty hot. It's just the edges are still, it's still
So it's
evaporating.
heating from the center out, isn't it?
Yep. There we go. Close. Almost there. Once you get to know your stove, you can,
Oh, that one was good. I even saw that one.
it's just on the edges. It's
probably the burner.
it's stainless steel. It'll keep heating the whole thing. Your camera's ringing. Cameraman.
There you go.
Look close, very close. We want it to not evaporate.
Yeah, and you want it to come back. All the balls come back, right?
Yep.
The big ball in the middle.
Wow, that is so cool.
Maybe it just doesn't want to get any hotter than
The more water you put in, the slower it's gonna be to
that. Right? True.
Cooling it
There
off.
we go. See that one little? I'd say that's close enough. Let's try it one more
Did
time.
you put a lid on it, or would that?
Oh, that would probably be okay.
It wouldn't leave.
There we go. See how they're starting to come together? Well, and there's still that one edge, but I think we're good to go. So then, we are just going to take our vegetables and toss them in there.
So you're not going
And-
to put any water in there to water saute?
No,
Amazing.
vegetables have water.
That's right.
So we're just going to dump these in here, and it's going to make noise. Get in there.
That
I
smells
expected it to
good.
make a little more noise than that. But you really want to start moving it around pretty fast or else, because that pan is, pretty hot.
Oh,
Ooh.
that smells so good. And we have over there in the 8-quart Instant Pot a bunch of brown rice that we'll put the succotash over. And then I brought some two different types of Bima and Paz vinegar to try on it, and some different seasonings and some nutritional yeast to flavor it up a little bit. I mean, the veggies will add a ton of flavor, but we thought we'd try a little bit of these 2 different exotic Bima and Paz vinegars too.
So once you're hearing the sizzle, right? So you want to keep stirring it while you're hearing the sizzle. And then as soon as the water starts releasing from the vegetables, the sizzle will go away. That's when we want to put the top on.
Doesn't it smell good?
So we want to keep stirring it while we hear the sizzle, right? As you can hear it, the sizzle's starting to go away. That's because the water is releasing from the vegetables. And so as soon as we don't hear any more sizzle, then we want to put the lid on. And so we're going to steam them a little bit in their own moisture. For some of these larger pieces like the cauliflower to start to
Should we cut them up
soften
a little bit more?
Well, they're in there already.
That'd be a little crunchy.
that off. You stick the lid on.
Once you put that on, do you turn the heat down?
Yes, you want to take it down to like probably like 5. How do we do that, Nancy?
So see the plus and the minus
Oh,
on the
yeah.
left?
So we're gonna probably take it down to what, 350s? What would medium be?
I'd say 325.
325. Oops. Okay, and so then we're just gonna check that every once in a while till we get to the consistency that we want. And then we'll just stir it around a little bit. This is a, what do we call it? It's Chef's Best, I think. It's a stainless, just your standard stainless steel. I also have some Cuisinart stainless steel that I really like also. So, but then when we take it off and stir it around, you can see at the bottom of the pan, there's no crispiness, there's no sticking or anything. As we start to stir those vegetables around, it's all released. Very cool.
You never turn the heat down.
No,
Well,
she did.
I did when I put the lid on. I turned the heat from what was it,
375 to
375 to 325. So right now they're just steaming in their own juices without having to add anything extra in there.
Excellent.
And then once we get it cooked to the point we want, then we can add some other your spices and stuff. That's when I would usually do it. But we can, since we have the vinegars, I really want to try that.
Yeah, why don't you hold that up and we'll show all the two different kinds. So what these are, this is the Bima and Pa's honey ginger, and the other one is the sesame ginger, and these are, they actually have like little sesame seeds in here, and you can see if you shake that around, Kathy. I thought since we were kind of doing this succotash stir fry, that anything with sesame would be like a little bit of an Asian flair, and it'd be really good. So we have that one, and then I also brought in over some dry herbs, and that's like from Costco. That is the garlic no salt seasoning, and then I just brought some another organic no salt seasoning, and that we like. And then I don't know if anybody follows Chef AJ, but she really likes the Benson's Table Tasty. Nick doesn't like it because it's got a real dill undertone. So I don't recommend it for what we're having here tonight, but maybe you just want to sprinkle some on the plate and try it before you buy it, because I don't think I'm going to really buy it again because it's too much dill for me. But it'd be great on a salad. It's good on a salad, but when I'm out having a salad, I'm putting balsamic vinegar on it.
Check out the bottom of the pan.
Oh,
No
wow, look at
singed
that.
sear marks. It's nice and clean.
Look at that.
Isn't that cool?
Is this the balsamic vinegar that AJ talks about?
Yes,
And that Captain Caleb designed?
yes. That's the Bima and Pa's.
Let me try.
Is there any special washing instructions for the pan?
That's still pretty crunchy. You can, you just want to make sure it's cool, of course, before you wash it. If you do sear something on it and it doesn't come out with just regular a dish towel, which has only happened to me once when my sister put oil in it, right? You can use something like Comet or Barkeeper's Friend, right? And scour it. That stuff is awesome. And scour it free. You want to use as little water as possible. You really want that gritty part to get all that stuff off. But you can get it off. But otherwise, other than when my sister put oil in it, I've never had any problems cleaning it at all.
It's amazing how oil damages our arteries and it damages our veins.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Like when you have to like scrub that out, that's like what it does to your arteries, right?
Yeah, oil belongs in cars,
Yeah.
not people. So,
Benson's is really good on corn on the cob.
ooh, now that would be good.
We got corn.
What is that? It's a salt substitute.
It's this no salt seasoning here. It's called Benson's Table Tasty. So I'll tell you what my friend Jean does. She'll take corn on the cob,
Just eat it raw.
eat it raw.
I like
It's-
it raw too.
This has been in the freezer. I don't recommend it, but when we were at Cape Cod, we were eating it raw, and it was really good. And so that would be good, but yeah, this is mushy. I don't recommend it.
So anything that's diced vegetables all to put together is considered a succotash. So I think everything else in here is pretty done except for the cauliflower. That's a little crunchy, but hey,
We can pick it out.
raw cauliflower is perfectly good too, right?
Yeah. It is.
Okay,
So
I think
why don't
we're
we
pretty done.
grab the purple bowl, and we'll get the purple bowl and put the succotash in, and we'll open the lid to the Instant Pot, and then we'll go ahead over to where we usually have the the soup over there, and we'll take over the seasonings. If somebody wants to take the seasoning and the vinegars over to the table, we'll dive in and have a sample of this delicious succotash.
Quick question, how did you cook the brown rice and beans?
You know what? It's just brown rice and water, so it's 1.5 cups water to 1 cup brown rice, 22 minutes, high pressure, natural pressure release. That's it. And I don't put any seasoning in the brown rice because we use it for salads, soups. If I'm gonna do like a nachos night or something, I'll throw in some chili powder and flavor it up, but 90% of the time, the brown rice is plain. That looks really good.
So you get nachos?
Stainless steel.
So we'll make them with the air fryer. And so with our air fryer, we'll dice up, or we'll make the corn tortilla strips in our air fryer. No fat. They're absolutely crunchy and delicious.
Where do you get the air fryer at? Walmart?
We ordered it, our first one, the Phillips, I got from HSN, the Home Shopping Network channel. And then the Breville, I ordered from Bed Bath & Beyond is where I got it online. They had a sale. Yeah, and that's a good one. All right, everybody, so if you are watching, this is going to be the conclusion of our cooking demonstration. We are going to dive in. We want to thank Kathy for doing this amazing knife skills demonstration, and we hope next time you'll join us at a plant-based Chico meeting. Have a great evening.